Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to film for you a tag video. I've been tagged by Courtney K and Stephanie from the Daisy Girly to do the Eyeshadow Junkie Tag. So I'm going to go ahead and get that filmed for you today. I'm going to go ahead and list below the topics or the questions for this tag video, and I'm going to be looking at them on my phone, and I will go down through them. It took me a little while to put this together. I ended up doing a lot of like what my current favorites are just because I have so much stuff and I've been using so much that I really haven't like nailed down like an all-time like holy grail favorite on a lot of these topics. So I do have some holy grail things in my collection, but I couldn't think, and I don't have a whole lot of holy grail eyeshadow things. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of go with some of my current favorites, and I will go ahead and start and get into this. The first question is your favorite drugstore line for eyeshadows, and that was really easy for me. My favorite drugstore line is Wet n Wild, and so I pulled a couple of different palettes. They have a lot of different lines or formulas. For a little while they really got off track with their formulas. Comfort Zone was like their best of the best. These Fergie Wet n Wild Quints are pretty good, and their all-time best is these 6-pan palettes, and I do have all 5 or 6 of these 6-pan palettes. This is the oh so coveted Vanity palette, and this is the Lust palette, which a lot of the shades in the Kat Von D not Monarch palette, the Chrysalis palette really remind me of the shadows in this, and then the ones that are in the Monarch palette remind me of this. And then of course they have their little trios, and I love all of those formulas. Those are my favorite in the drugstore for sure. Next question is your favorite eyeshadow primer. I really don't have one. I kind of just pulled just to show you. I have so many sample primers. I would have to say that the Urban Decay Primer Potion and the Lorac Behind the Scenes are two of the ones that I've used the most. I've used the e.l.f. primer, it's really good. I've used the Wet n Wild primer, the Fergie one, and that's really good too. So I really don't have a favorite primer. If I had to kind of dig deep and say like what was my first and what was my favorite, back in the day when I first started getting into makeup, and that would be the Urban Decay. So that, I guess, would be the one that I've used the longest, but not necessarily my favorite because I like them all. They all kind of work the same. First ever eyeshadow purchase, and do you still use it? This was a hard one for me, only because I am not quite sure where my eyeshadow purchases started, but I do know for sure that some of my very first were these 4 over here, MAC shadows for my wedding. I really wasn't into makeup a whole lot before I got married. That kind of started it when I got my makeup done at MAC for my wedding. This is Rice Paper. This is Moon's Reflection. This is Black Tide, and I can never remember this blue color. But these were the first 4, and I do use them occasionally in some looks. I don't use them all the time, but I have this palette out every now and again and pull some shadows from here often. So I do still use those, just not all the time. Your best drugstore dupe. It took me a minute, but then I said, oh, you dummy, there's like quite a few of them that I actually have the dupes for. So the first one is the Amber Rush and MAC Tan Pigment, and I am going to go ahead and do a little swatch of these so you can see. I knew that was going to happen. And that is the Amber Rush is here, and the Tan Pigment is here. The next one I have is actually MAC's Blue Brown Pigment, and this shade here from the Comfort Zone palette. So this is Max Pigment in Blue Brown, and this is the Wet n Wild shadow. And the very last drugstore dupe that I have is Steelist Kitten and L'Oreal's Ice Latte. This is Steelist Kitten and this is Ice Latte. They're pretty close, but Steelist Kitten is a little more on the peachy pink side than the L'Oreal Infallible. But overall, those are some pretty good drugstore dupes. The next question is, what is the most underrated? And this could be a palette, a shadow line, a single, quad, whatever it is. And I have chosen the Makeup Geek shadow in Beaches and Cream. And I just think this is underrated because nobody ever talks about it as a Makeup Geek shadow, really. And I also believe that it's right here. It's just a boring, plain old shadow, but it, for me, is the most amazing blending out shade ever. And I originally thought I would go ahead and like use it in my crease, and then I said no, it's too light. It's pretty much like my skin tone, but I started using it to blend out, which I never had used a blending out shade before, and it has totally changed my life. So that to me is the most underrated shadow that I can think of right now. The next is my favorite single eyeshadow, and that would also be a Makeup Geek and also something that is just my favorite right now, and this is the shadow in Mai Tai. I try to incorporate this in my looks a lot because I really just love it. It's got like a pink, peach, purple kind of duochrome to it. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And I've shown this many times, as well as the Beaches and Cream in like recent favorite videos and things like that. The next is my favorite cream shadow, and my first thought was MAC's Painterly Paint Pot, and that is what that looks like. And so then I thought that was kind of cheating, and then my second thing that I came up with, I kind of wondered if it was cheating also, but again, one of my current favorites, and this is the ColourPop shadow in Prickly Pear. Technically these are like a cream shadow formula, so that's kind of why I chose this. And again, I just showed this in a video. I'm going to go ahead and show it again. It's got this taupey purple quality to it, and then in this lighting you can see all that gold glittery goodness. It's just absolutely beautiful. So that is my favorite cream shadow of the moment. The next is, what is your favorite neutral eyeshadow? And I kind of came up with two, and one of those is Tease from the Naked 2 palette, and I'm not going to show this because it's in my Project Pan Roulette, but I will go ahead and just pull a swatch of this real quick. And so this is what this looks like. It looks a whole lot more pink on the eyes, and even in the swatch it's got like a pinkiness to it. And then I'll go ahead and show you my second favorite neutral eyeshadow is actually right here, and it is MAC's Omega, and I'll go ahead and show you a swatch of that. And this is a little more on the khaki brown side of things. Very pretty. Both of them very pretty transition and crease shades, and they work really well for that. The next topic is, what is your favorite colored eyeshadow? And again, this is something just of the moment, and that is Urban Decay's color in Last Call. And I've been using this quite a bit and really just fallen in absolutely in love with this shade and the things that this shade can do. It's just absolutely beautiful. Depending on what you pair it with, it can pull more cranberry, it can pull more purple, it can pull more pink. It's just absolutely beautiful, and that is obviously my word of the year. I'm going to try and let go of that word next year. The last thing is the favorite or best eyeshadow palette ever. And the one that I chose is the Lorac Mega Pro. I have gotten so much use out of this. I almost chose the Mega palette, or I mean the Pro palette, but I've gotten so much use out of this. You have everything you need, all your mattes, cream colors, blending shades, crease shades, and all of your lid shimmery shades, and I just absolutely love this palette. It has everything you could possibly need. So that is it for my Eyeshadow Junkie tag, and I can't think of anybody to tag right this minute that I haven't seen already do this video. And anybody else I can think of, I will tag below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.